United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I got out there.
Roll call, please.
What are you doing?
Tea time.
She got her hair done.
Leo's a good guy, though.
Barr,
Here.
Giovanini,
Here.
Eckhoff,
Here.
Callis, Lee,
Here.
Hicks, Bradshaw,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Gaber,
Here.
Willie.
Here.
Thank you. 3 items on the consent agenda. Had a chance to look those over.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Kelly, sorry. Motion by Jamie, seconded by Jason. Roll call, please.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving over to the regular agenda, committee reports, infrastructure. Brian, do you want to give us
Sure.
an update?
Yes, we met on February 15th here at City Hall. Mayor Alvey called the meeting to order at 4 o'clock. We took roll and the following members were present: myself, Giovanni, Barr, Hicks, and Willie. Our agenda included capital projects. City Engineer Verdon gave an update as far as street projects. There was a discussion on outstanding work to be done within the 2022 HMA and concrete work will push into the next fiscal year. Also still upcoming are the Heisner Bridge repair project as well as Turtle Drive general maintenance. Mr. Verdon and Street Superintendent Brock presented a list of streets and sidewalk repairs that could be prioritized in the upcoming year's street maintenance program. Wastewater Treatment Plant Director Kincaid discussed work completed on the plant upgrade project. Stormwater separation and manhole replacement projects are also underway. Next fiscal year, we'll see Phase 2 of the south side separation bids as well as the north side Phase 2 separation design and construction. In regards to 2023 street maintenance, Mr. Verdon and Street Superintendent Brock presented a list of streets and sidewalk repairs that could be prioritized in the next year's street maintenance program. Discussion was held on ESP 88 and spray patch programs as well. In regards to budget preparation, we did have discussions regarding determining a budget for the items discussed so priorities can be set. We then adjourned. We're here tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Brian? True?
Do we send the spray patching out for bid? Or do we just do that ourselves?
Chris?
Why is a contractor outsource that?
But we put it out for bid and
Yeah, we get prices. There's really only one area company that's right now, but second.
Second part of that was finance.
Finance
Jim
Committee
wants-
meeting was held Wednesday, February 15th at City Hall. Mayor Alvey called the meeting order at 6 o'clock p.m. City Administrator took the roll and the following members were present: Clark, Gaber, Lee. And the agenda for the meeting was a budget of 2023-2024. City Administrator Jim Wolford presented committee information on past and projected figures for the general fund revenues, discussion on the ambulance service, non-emergency transport contracts, substation project, golf course, pool, community enrichment. Also discussed for upcoming body cam mandates for police. Adjournment on motion duly made and seconded. The Finance Administration Committee was adjourned.
In other words, we're working on the budget and it's not done yet.
Yes.
We're heading in the right direction. Okay, feel good. Pontiac firefighters pension report.
The firefighters' pension report, as you recall, the firefighters' pension and the police pension were consolidated into a state pool. We received that information from Foster and Foster, who is the firm that does the actuarial reports. The total assets beginning 4/1 of '21 were $6,057,506, and the assets ending 3/31 actual were $6,114,854. As you can see, the current tax levy was $389,565, and you can see the other incomes. The performance comparison, the actuarial assumed investment return is 6.25%. The expected investment earnings would be $377,094. The actual earnings were $105,352 with an actuarial loss of $271,742. The next section is the number of employees contributing to the fund and the number of employees that are receiving pensions. The liabilities, assets required for 90% funding were $8,866,405, with an unfunded accrued liability of $3,786,932, leaving that fund 61.6% funded. In the end, the tax levy recommended from the state of Illinois for 2022-2023, which has already been presented, was $381,748. Copy of this is here if anyone has any questions or.
Okay. But 61% compared to most of the state is quite admirable. Heading in the right direction there. Okay, now we're going on to the humidifier. Kincaid is coming up to the podium and will give us an update.
Good evening. I love dehumidifiers, which is why I felt the need to dress up for this occasion. To give you a little brief rundown on our need for a commercial-sized dehumidifier, a component of our treatment plant upgrade project was to replace our defunct tertiary filters. And what our tertiary filters do, they are more or less two long drums with a very fine material compared to, say, a parachute, which is filtering out the treated water, all the remaining particles and solids that remain in it after the full biological treatment. So it's a polishing step in the treatment process. The ones they replaced had not been operated in over 20 years. They failed in 1992, but we were able to meet permit and our requirements without them in the meantime. However, due to our new regulations of our nutrients, those particles house a lot of the nutrients, so these filters were necessary for us to reach our new limits moving forward. So once those are installed in a block room. It's about the equivalent of an in-ground or an indoor pool is the atmosphere of this room with these filters. And one issue we ran into that we really didn't foresee was the humidity levels created in that room because of the water agitation of these filters. Now, we have air exchange in that room where in the warm months, we pull air from the outside through it, and that keeps humidity levels down to where it doesn't create a significant issue. However, during the cold months, we have to refrain from running the air exchange because our heating bills and the amount of natural gas we would need to run our heaters to offset those cold temperatures inside the room would be astronomical. And we would have to do that to prevent freezing. So the last 2 winters is where we've really been seeing the issue here. And it gets to a point where it's almost like a rainforest in this room where every wall, every outlet, every door, every window, everything's just wet because we have no way to reduce that humidity. So we looked at some options and we found a commercial dehumidifier would be the most economical solution moving forward. We looked at including a dehumidifier as a change order in the project. However, due to contractor markup and all the added costs of having each individual contractor involved in its installation, the price was astronomical, over 5 to 6 times more than if we either outsourced it or did it in-house. So the last fiscal year budget development, we decided to go ahead and make that an in-house purchase to save money. So I obtained 3 quotations for a commercial dehumidifier installation for that room. One was from Mid-Illinois Mechanical for the sum of $91,968. The second from Ricketts Refrigeration, $59,764. And then we looked at the option of purchasing the unit outright ourselves and performing the installation ourselves. The Assistant Superintendent of the Wastewater Department is an Illinois licensed HVAC technician and has the full skill set to handle that installation. So after doing some searching on the type of, the exact unit we want, and then the distributors of that unit, we found Sylvain. Will sell us that unit for $17,245 with a 1-year warranty, which is standard. Again, this was a budgeted item that I budgeted $40,000 for. I picked that number because we initially looked at the existing dehumidifier at the pool at the Oaks that is defunct. And when we acquired that, we were just looking at options to see what it would take to replace that. And that number was based on a couple quotations we got back then to replace that one, which we didn't move forward with. So I use that as a baseline for a budget number. So to purchase the unit outright, $17,245. That's less than half of the budgeted amount for this year for that dehumidification unit. So with your permission, I would like to move forward with that. Also, the rest of the componentry for the install are things that we have on site. We have a lot of spare materials from either donations from the project or just stuff we've had on the shelf. So whatever little inexpensive componentry that might be needed for the remainder of the installation, we have most of that in-house. So the bulk of the purchase would be the $17,245.
Sounds like you did some great work, Jake, finding a way to save a few dollars. We'll need a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brian, seconded by John Willie. Roll call, please.
Giovannini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber.
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Thank you. Great job, Jake. Now you have some more interesting facts.
This has been waiting for this night for a little over 3 years now. So we are about 3.5 years in on our wastewater treatment plant project. We are substantially complete. The last component we've been waiting on arrived last Thursday. The installation is taking place this Thursday. So after this Thursday, all we have remaining is groundskeeping and site restoration. Buildings are even cleaned, everything's humming right along, so we're just about there. And with that comes our final change order request for that project. Now, I've been involved in this project since, the day we began discussing needing to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant, over 5 years ago. Believe all of you, or most of you, have been there from the start as well. And I've been involved in every aspect of the design, of the construction itself. It's been a really fun, really busy, interesting 3.5 years, but we finally gotten there. Change orders are necessary in projects like these, which is why the Illinois or the U.S. EPA requires contingency funds for this type of project when they issue low-interest loans. The EPA knows that when you're building a new facility on existing ground that's been built on over 5 times since the course of 1937, that there are conditions underground, above ground you can't account for in design. They are things in design that might have been overlooked initially that come to light during installation, and other various situations that necessitate additions or subtractions throughout the project. I personally don't like change orders. There's always that little voice in the back of my head that says change orders reflect incompetence in design, even though that's not the case, something I've always struggled with. just because I don't like things not being accounted for initially. So I've appreciated the support of the council, mayor, city administrator, even you, Alan, over the course of 3.5 years that I brought these change orders to you, and you've granted them based on trust of handling that department. So I thank you for that. This change order in the amount of $182,802 consists of 15 various changes to the contract. This is the largest one out of the 11, because a lot of this were a lot of rolling changes since the beginning of it that we necessarily didn't want to include in all the change orders prior. There was a lot of give and take, a lot of, okay, we're going to add this, but we can subtract that, so that cancels that out. A lot of these are just that rolling give and take throughout it. And so 2 weeks ago, we sat down and spent the better half of a day ironing out all those changes and making sure that the general contractor, the subcontractor, and myself representing the city were all in agreement on those various changes. So to give you just a brief rundown on what those changes were, we'll start with RFP 88. This change was to utilize our existing concrete that was demolished from either tanks, roads, small structures that were demolished. We reused that concrete to support the riverbank that was eroding on the north side of the wastewater treatment plant. RFP 89 was for caulking and sealing a pump station wet well divider wall that turns out it leaked. Again, something that we didn't design for, but something that needed to be addressed. RFP 90 was for adding kick plates to the gates. These kick plates we had to add to remain OSHA compliant, and we got to use the city of Fairbury as a guinea pig, because once they completed their plant, right when we had started ours, they had an inspection, and then we got to see all the things that they didn't meet OSHA requirements, so we went ahead and added those changes to ours, knowing that eventually that same inspection would take place here, so we wanted to make sure that we were as close to compliant as could be. So that was the reason for adding additional kick plates to the gates. RFP 91 was a modification to our grit chamber support. The original design, once everything got installed, we found it was a little unsafe for an operator to access that platform, so we made some revisions to it for safety purposes. RFP 92 was the addition of a staircase to our new secondary clarifier. This was something that once the new clarifier was built, per the manufacturer's specs, it sat higher than anticipated, and we needed to add some steps to be able to get up to that platform. RFP 93 is some brickwork for what we call J building. This is the building that houses our new compressors. We found those compressors were overheating that building and they were tripping out, so there was a multitude of work that needed to take place on that structure to allow that building to remain cool with the addition of some HVAC equipment. So that RFP includes just the brickwork. RFP 94 is the addition of handrail at our aeration basins and chlorine tank. Again, looking at compliance, we found some areas that were not quite high enough that would not require handrail, so we played it safe and added some additional handrail. RFP 95 was miscellaneous small mechanical piping modifications. This is the one that throughout the plant throughout the project we kept tabs on, because we made a bunch of little pipework changes throughout. So this is just a conglomeration of all those. RFP 96 was replacement for gas safety equipment. When we began design, our gas safety equipment was only about 10 years old. And as we got towards the end in that building, we're around 15 years old now, and we had enough extra equipment from our new gas safety that we said it's only going to take a little bit more componentry and we can totally rehabilitate that 15-year-old equipment. So we went ahead and ordered a couple extra components to give us a new system there, so all our new gas safety systems are new all across the board at the facility. RFP 97 is for temperature controls for the HVAC in Building J. Again, trying to cool that building down, we had to add some additional controls. RFP 98 was for additions and subtractions of the wiring scope. Again, that's our electrician kept a running total of what we eliminated and what we added. RFP 99 was an additional motorized damper in Building J. Again, going back to that compressor building that we had heating issues with, just another component of that. RFP 100 was some additional rock landscaping. There were areas where we had concrete and asphalt that we no longer did in the project design, so we found that if we added gravel instead, it would make the groundskeeping a lot easier and provide for a more aesthetically pleasing area and some of those. RFP 101, this is addition of pavement to remove an existing pavement. There were some places that, again, didn't get called out in the design that Farnsworth may not have realized we had pavement there because it wasn't on the original 86 drawing, so it got overlooked. And areas that we needed pavement, so we went ahead and added that in. And RFP 102, this is a credit for some concrete patching that we thought we were going to need in design that we ended up not needing because we slightly modified the installation on some gates. And there were some tanks that we assumed needed patching that turns out they didn't. They were still in good shape, so we were able to get a slight credit there. So those 15 various changes add up to the amount of $182,802. Our allocated 3% of our total project contingency was $1,108,500. So with the addition of tonight's change order number 11, that brings our total use contingency out of 1.1 mil to $873,439, which will leave us an unused balance of $235,061. So we still have 21.2% of our contingency funds that we will not need out of this project. I keep in touch with a lot of fellow wastewater superintendents and operators throughout Central Illinois. There's been quite a few that have undergone projects like ours in the last 10 years. And there were very few that didn't need extra contingency funds or that maxed out on theirs. And the fact that we still have 21.2% remaining at the end of the project, I think that is a very positive reflection on our design engineer, on our staff, and even our contractors and the willingness to work with us and try to keep those at a minimum. So I think I would consider this a total win for the extra money we needed to make that project happen. With your permission, I would like to move forward with accepting change order number 11 in the sum of $182,802 and a partridge in a pear tree.
I'd make that motion. Give yourself a great big pat on the back. I'd make a motion to accept that. You've done an excellent job.
Thank you.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Jason. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Gaber.
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Jake. Great leadership and great teamwork. Certainly appreciate all of your efforts. Moving on to ordinance 008, real estate property we're looking at acquiring on 201 South Main Street.
Okay.
Alan?
Yeah, the city has, I've been doing this a long time, and we bought several properties along the river between Play Park and the bridge with the ultimate goal of being able to have some kind of park type of development there, walkway, scenic view, whatever. And another property recently came up for sale after the death of Pat Heenan. He owned the house at 201 South Main Street, and the family was aware of the city's interest in this area, and they approached us about whether we'd be interested in, city be interested in purchasing that property. So we had that property appraised. It appraised for $50,000. That price was acceptable to the family, and the ordinance would authorize the purchase of 201 South Main Street. at the price of $50,000, if that's acceptable. Everybody know where the property's at?
Yeah. Sure, we've all heard about the possibility of the Riverwalk coming to fruition in the future, so this would be another step in that process. So, need a motion to acquire the property.
I so move.
Motion by John Willie, seconded by Mike Barr. Roll call, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Gaber,
Abstain.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
No.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. That pretty much concludes the regular agenda. We move into mayor's comments. I only have 18 of them. I'm going to outdo Jake here pretty soon. Oh, maybe not quite that many. First of all, I wanted to talk to Chris for a second. He brought in a notice and to me this past week on the Tree City program. And can you expand on that just a little bit?
That was just paperwork to submit for our annual certification for Tree City. So we need to that, and we've turned it in. My knowledge, best of my knowledge, it's been accepted by the state. Number 11 or 12 this year.
Yeah, important part for all of us. We've had a mild winter so far. Knock on wood, as they say, but, you know, it's helped us with a lot of efforts that we've had, and our streets are looking good, and as long as we can keep the snow up north, we'll be happy as can be. The other thing I had on here was the next month, we'll get an update on all of our concert plans and Rocking at the River programs and things of that nature that are coming up. I think we're pretty well done on Madison Street.
The inside is done. There's still some work that needs to be done to look at the foundation of that building.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, on the facade, the upper half of the facade needs some brickwork to be done to it. So in order to, the structural engineer we had indicated there might be an issue with some of the soil in the foundation, so we're just making sure that's good before we move forward on getting the facade fixed, and there'll be some work in the rear of the building. Well, but the inside is gutted.
I saw the dumpster was gone, so that's always a good sign.
The inside work's done.
Okay.
Done for the most part, where we'd be able to, once we get the outside done, be able to.
Okay, real good. Yeah. Other than that, city council comments.
I'm remote, but can you guys hear me okay?
Sure
Yes.
can.
It's Kelly. I just want to chime in as having, this is my second remote meeting, and we do have issues with the sound that I believe if we really want the public to be listening to our meeting, there's often times where I can't hear what somebody's saying because you're not using the microphone. And you're not aware of it until you listen on the other side. So we all need to be cognizant of the microphones and the reasons we have them. And I mean, I know it's a work in progress, but I just wanted to share that part with you, so everybody knows.
Okay. Thanks, Kelly. Too bad we don't have Bill Callis here, because he would certainly have a comment for us. But we'll move on from here. Jim?
Yes, just a couple quick ones. And on Kelly's note, we have noticed that as well. And we talked about coming up with maybe a short session or a training so we are all aware, one, that we are streaming out to the public. And maybe it isn't the worst idea to, at least the first time you speak, to state who you are, And to also to remember that when the meeting has been adjourned, there's still a time lag before it stops streaming. So either want to shut off your mic or just be cognizant of that as well, that could still be going out. The only other comments I have is we are continuing to work on the budget, and I have nothing but praise for the staff. And Jake's fantastic. Makes this job a lot easier knowing that we have such competent people in the roles that we have in our departments. So all of them I have nothing but the highest praise for. So
Thank you.
Yep.
Public comments. Bart?
I just have a quick comment. Barb Howard, 833 North Hazel Street. I've fielded some questions this week and last week concerning the storm sewers, the installation and the street closings. And I was wondering if going forward, we could work on maybe public relationships with letting people know in the neighborhoods when their streets are going to be closed, when they can't get their cars in or out, trucks in or out. So I just thought I'd bring it forward and go from there.
I'm sure we try to.
I know the effort's been made, and I try to tell people when I know, but, you know, one of the ladies suggested maybe knocking door to door, leaving a note in the window, you know, something.
Yeah.
Other than, somebody else suggested text messaging too, and I said, well, there's a city text number. So,
Well, we'll try to get more info out as quick as we can.
right,
Via
right,
the newsletter and/or.
right. Well,
our
I just wanted to
webpages.
let you know that I was fielding stuff like that, so just to let you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Any other comments? If not, we would have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Frank, seconded by Brian. Roll call, or just adjourn? We're adjourned. Thank you.